Well, how about them apples? Yeah, I'm about a minute late here, but by crikeys, I'm here. Welcome aboard, folks. My name is Max. Max Rants once again. And today is Tuesday, the 7th of July. No, it is Tuesday, the 22nd of July, 2025. Who moved my clock around? Shame on you, Michael. Don't do that. All right, I'm back. Today we're going to continue reading from The Darkening. It's an amazing book. I'm reading the cover here. The Darkening, How Racial Politics Have Damaged the American Way of Life. I'm beginning to believe they've damn near destroyed it, but let's get into it. Chapter 16, Operation Raise Your Hand. Very expensive, but taxpayers foot the bill. You know, it's a fact that taxpayers have, or seem to be, an inexhaustible source of money. There's always going to be money to spend on projects that they like or the government likes for them, because once the government gets their filthy lunch hooks into it, no one knows where anything goes. The government never hands out receipts. Don't you wish they'd give us receipts for all the money they spend? Anyway, move along. Government doesn't show a receipt. Operation Raise Your Hand, the Soviet way of sewing the right people in the right places, invested millions and millions, back then it was a lot of money, of taxpayer dollars to fund the many alternate charity scholarships and financial aid programs. It was like faster than dandelions in the summer. They were growing like crazy. This fiscal onslaught was simultaneously organized, carbon copied, run at the same time, in step, between New York, Chicago, Detroit, and Boston. Now established on both coasts, let's not forget LA and San Francisco, and scattered to the Midwest, communists opened the floodgates of Negro-centric opportunity. But it's not just any opportunity, not just getting a good job here or there. They wanted them as teachers, and we'll talk about that later in the book. The predecessor to affirmative action had been born. Their newly indoctrinated and newly licensed Negro school teachers were scattered across the land. Like spores of noxious weeds, they planted themselves everywhere, and the elements of their incompetence and their agenda, they were there. You can't help it. They established all Negro, or mostly Negro, universities and teacher colleges, all in order to train mostly Negro teachers. With this, they were able to concentrate their propaganda far more effectively, because as it's said that a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, so they gathered many Negroes together in single classes, in single schools, in single programs, so they could create what they wanted, a brainwashed number of baccalaureates. You understand, you get a densely packed school, like 800 people, and they're all black, it's going to be a lot easier to work on their minds. And soon, community, city, state colleges, they were producing record numbers of less qualified but college degreed and licensed Negro school teachers. Academic standards for these all Negro classes and schools had been greatly lowered so they could push as many people as possible through this newly modified teacher certification programs. I mean, even state certification requirements had been simplified, the bar lowered, in order to keep up with the increasing number of Negro teachers who were coming out of these diploma mills. That's all they were diploma mills. The substandard quality of these undergraduate teachers was by design, as lowering the bar was one more way to meet graduation quotas. The main mission of these diploma mills was to program Negroes as messengers to indoctrinate the young minds that they would soon be teaching. See, they're not there to educate, they were there to indoctrinate. Their primary mission was never to teach the young, but to inculcate them with the dream of communism. In the process of training these Negroes as teachers, endless propaganda became manna to the mediocre minds of the communist indoctrinated student population. It was there that communist ideology was forced into the vacant spaces of their morals and minds. Negro teachers arrived on the job with a mission, and that wasn't just to teach. That mission was to correct what they viewed as stinking thinking among people and bring them around to the communist dream. As many would say, and I quote, "The mission of our school is to craft good citizens." Well, the good citizens they're talking about are brainwashed, liberal, progressive Marxists. In the words of two former Harvard University professors, the only purpose of an all-Negro school, an all-Negro class, is to indoctrinate rather than educate. And we see that today. We see it all around us. Programs for Negro teachers sponsored overnight retreats. They had camping, kumbaya meetings, little Las Vegas, seminars, and a number of cooperation-oriented activities. All of these activities were aimed at securing the hearts and the minds of these newly licensed, or soon-to-be licensed, Negro school teachers. They used advanced psychological techniques to ensure success. So commentary before I go to chapter 17. It's pretty obvious what they did. Many young people who were non-Negro could not afford college, couldn't get in. But scholarships were popping up everywhere from groups like the NAACP, the SCLC, who all hid the fact that this money was coming from Moscow. Basically, find them more malleable among the Negroes, offer them a free education, and as they're learning your way. You're creating more little missionaries to send out and spread the good word. Communism is utopia. Yeah, right, let's have a drink. Makes you tired, doesn't it? Chapter 17, communists exploit Negroes and manipulate them. Let's begin. Negro teacher candidates were heavily conditioned with advanced brainwashing techniques to later be used on their future students. The elements of this training included, but were not limited to, hypnotism, repetitive memory training, drugs, all designed to soften the will and direct their minds in the proper direction. Proper being communist way. Go get 'em, Nikita Khrushchev. Every technique applied here, would lay the foundation for Negro school teachers as they worked to indoctrinate the children they were teaching. The most important goal here was to ensure the cooperation and ultimately gain the loyalty and love of their young students, their young charges. All the while, in elective courses, remember they had all these electives to get a bachelor degree, Negro students were exposed to the lies and exaggerations of revised, sometimes completely rewritten history of slavery in America. They were taught to distrust, dislike, and openly hate all non-Negroes. They were taught that Africa is the cradle of civilization and that Negroes are innately superior to all other races. Hail Negroes, the master race. That's what it amounted to. Oh, man. Negro school teacher candidates were taught to treat non-Negro students with a certain degree of condescension and even contempt. Their approach toward Negro students would be markedly different, allowing them to grow and achieve their potential in a more comprehensive way than their non-Negro classmates. That's right, the complexions of teachers' pets quickly darkened, and Negro teachers' pets grew in numbers. I mean, what better way is there to alienate and divide any society than to isolate them one from another, child from parent, using false narratives, lies, fabricating history. Slavery-oriented propaganda was injected at every opportunity in public schools at all levels and still is today. Today it's taught, but with a new moniker, a new name. Now it's called CRT, Critical Race Theory, and it's widely taught in public schools from sea to shining sea. Preaching the lie of systemic racism, more Negro minds were and still are brainwashed. It does not matter that it doesn't exist, that there's no such thing. What matters is that the more gullible and easily brainwashed believe it to be true. It's one of those things where they say, look, I know what it is. Don't confuse me with the facts. Don't confuse me with the truth. That's where it is. Because whether it was history or anthropology, mythology, math, physics, eager and malleable Negro minds were systematically conditioned, propagandized in a never-ending onslaught of prejudicial propaganda and lies. Summed up, the message has been clear. That is, Whitey is the blue-eyed devil. How about that for maybe? Yeah. Well, look, tomorrow we're going to go to Chapter 18, Minority Teacher Diploma Mill, Continuing Operation Raise Your Hand, and Chapter 19, one more step, just one more, Operation Alma Mater. That was wicked. That was where they sunk their hooks in. Understand, by that point, by the time Operation Alma Mater came in, they had almost total control of public schools, K through 12, in the country. They were still trying to reach into universities. They weren't there yet, but that's okay, because you get the kids while they're young. That's how it's done. That's all for today. 11 minutes and 40 seconds of damn. Is it true? Answer, I think most of it is.